Hello everyone. In this video, we're going to discuss CCNA Activity Packet Tracer Configure DTP, that is Dynamic Trunking Protocol. So here is our addressing table for this activity. So first, objectives. Our objectives is configure static trunking and configure and verify DTP. So background or scenario. As the number of switches in a network increases, the administration necessary to manage the VLANs and trunks can be challenging. To ease some of the VLAN and trunking configurations, trunk negotiation between network devices is managed by the Dynamic Trunking Protocol or DTP and is automatically enabled on Catalyst 2960 and Catalyst 3650 switches. In this activity, you will configure trunk links between the switches. You will assign ports to VLANs and verify end-to-end connectivity between hosts in the same VLAN. You will configure trunk links between the switches and you will configure VLAN 999 as the native VLAN. So here's our instructions. Part 1. Verify VLAN configuration. Verify the configured VLANs on the switches. So A, on S1, go to privilege exec mode and enter the show VLAN brief command to verify the VLANs that are present. So we're going to follow this command, show VLAN brief. So here, click the S1 and then enable, and then follow the command show VLAN brief. And we can see the VLAN details, and also we can see the ports are all indicated. VLAN 1, and here's the 99 management VLAN and VLAN 999 state. And then repeat step 1A on S2 and S3. So we're going to repeat the same step on S2. Enable, and then the command show VLAN brief. And also on S3, enable, and then the command show VLAN brief. So next, part 2. Create additional VLANs on S2 and S3. On S2, create VLAN 10 and name it red. So next is create VLANs 20 and 30 according to the table. So here's the table that we're going to follow, and it said that we're going to create additional VLANs on S2 and S3. So click S2 first and then configure terminal, and then add VLAN 10, name red, VLAN 20, name blue, VLAN 30, name yellow. So first, we're going to verify the addition of the new VLANs. Enter show VLAN brief at the privilege exec mode. So show VLAN brief, and here we can see that the VLANs are already been added. So repeat the previous steps to create the additional VLANs on S3. So we're going to repeat the same step on S3. VLAN 20, name blue, VLAN 30, name yellow. So let's see. So here it is. It's already been added to. So next, part 3. Assign VLANs to ports. Use the switch port mode access command to set access mode for the access links. Use the switch port access VLAN ID command to assign a VLAN to an access port. So here's the table. So A. Assign VLANs to ports on S2 using assignments from the table above. So we're going to follow this command here. Click S2. And configure terminal. So I'm just going to copy this one and paste it here. So next is assign VLANs to ports on S3 using the assignments from the table above. So we're just going to do the same as we did on S2. Next is part 4. Configure trunks on S1, S2, and S3. Dynamic Trunking Protocol or DTP manages the trunk links between Cisco switches. Currently, all the switch ports are in the default trunking mode, which is Dynamic Auto. In this step, you will change the trunking mode to Dynamic Desirable for the link between switches S1 and S2. The link between switches S1 and S3 will be set as a static trunk. Use VLAN 999 as the native VLAN in this topology. So A. On switch S1, configure the trunk link to dynamic desirable on the Gigabit Ethernet 0/1 Internet interface. The configuration of S1 is shown below. So we're going to follow this one here on S1. Configure terminal, and then I'm just going to copy this. Paste. And then switch port mode dynamic desirable. And then next, on switch S2, verify that the trunk has been negotiated by entering the show interfaces trunk command. Interface Gigabit Ethernet 0/1 should appear in the output. So we're going to type the command show interfaces trunk. So here, what is the mode and status for this port? So as we can see, the mode is desirable and status is trunking. C for the trunk link between S1 and S3, configure interface Gigabit Ethernet 0/2 as a static trunk link on S1. In addition, disable DTP negotiation on interface G0/2 on S1. So we're going to follow that, and I'm going to copy this one. Then switch port mode trunk. Then switch port no negotiate. Next is use the show DTP command to verify the status of DTP. So next, verify trunking is enabled on all the switches using the show interfaces trunk command. So show interfaces trunk, and here. So next, configure VLAN 999 as the native VLAN for the trunk links on S1. So we're going to follow this. So configure terminal, and then copy this one. And then switch port trunk native VLAN 999. So on S2 and S3, configure VLAN 999 as the native VLAN also. So let's configure here also in S2 the native VLAN. And then copy this one. Then let's go to S3. So next, verify trunking is successfully configured on all the switches. You should be able to ping one switch from another switch in the topology using the IP addresses configured on the SD1. So attempt to ping from PC1 to PC6. Now we're going to ping PC1 to PC6. So let's go to command prompt and then ping and the IP address of the PC6. So here it says request timeout. So why was the ping unsuccessful? So there's a hint. Look at the show VLAN brief output from all three switches. Compare the outputs from the show interface trunk on all switches. And then next is correct the configuration as necessary. So here on part 5, reconfigure trunk on S3. So let's type the command show VLAN brief, and here it is. Show interfaces trunk command, and here there's nothing. So it says here native VLAN mismatch. So I'm going to copy this one, interface G0/2, and then paste it here and click enter, and then switch port mode trunk, and switch port no negotiate. So let's verify by the command show interfaces trunk, and here we can see the status is trunking. So we're done here. So this part we already did this. So next is to verify end-to-end connectivity. So we're going to ping PC1 to PC6 now. So ping and the IP address of the PC6. So here it says reply from, so the ping is successful and the completion is already done 100%. Okay, so that's all for today's video. Hope you understand and it helps you. So thank you for watching.